Hey boys and girls, welcome to another episode of How I Screwed This Up. Anyway, what have I been up to? Well, like in the last episode, I told you that I got myself a little old honey sweetheart over there in Mindanao, in the Philippines. So I made 2 trips this year. So that's kind of where my mind's been the last 6-8 months. I've been saving up money to go to the Philippines. Normally the money that I would have spent on this project, getting this house built, has gone basically playing in the Philippines. I spent 2 months there, and that's really nice there. If you ever want to go summer vacation, go to the Philippines. They got some beautiful oceans. But you guys didn't come to hear me talk about the Philippines and my love affair. But anyway. Just taking a little breather. Hey, boys and girls, welcome back to How I Screwed This Up again. Hey, thought I'd keep you up to date on what I'm doing here. As you can see, I'm building a deck. I've been wanting a deck for a couple months now because I want to put the barbecue there up on the deck, and so and go and see my horse and the rest of the property because I don't got any windows on that back side. So I just thought I'd fill you in a little bit. In the last episode, if you remember, I built the stairs, and I knew when I built the stairs I would be building a deck eventually. I didn't know I needed the stairs kind of right away, and so I went ahead and built the stairs, and then knew and eventually I'd come along and extend the stairs out. So how did I do this? What did I do? Well, I've got a whole bunch of leftover purlings from when I built the, you can see right here in the corner here, when I built that 4-foot extension to build a bedroom or a room in the container there. So I have a bunch of these purlings left, those 4-inch 16 gauge, I guess it is, purlings, and then there's receivers. So basically it's real simple, right? So the way I figured it out was those purlings come in 20-foot lengths. So what I did was I just cut them in half. So basically what I have is a deck that is 10 by 8 by 10, because the containers are 8, right? So, and then 10 out. And I thought about going to 12, maybe 14 as a deck, because you know, a buddy of mine said you can never have too much deck, because by the time you get a couple of your buddies over, you know, barbecuing with the shrimp and briskets and having a couple of beers, you'll use up all your deck space. But you know, it's just probably going to be me and Jovi probably in the future. So this is good enough to have coffee on and barbecue a little bit. So basically, so I made them cut them in half, made them 10 feet long, and then as you can see, I have five purlings. So I have a receiver there, I have a receiver there, and then I've got the 4 purlings, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, excuse me, 5. And then what I did is I took a 4x4. I think, you know, I asked for 16 gauge, but they said they don't make them the 4x4s. No, that's not 4x4 wood. This is 4x4 metal. So they don't make the 4x4 metal in 16 gauge, but I think it is 16 gauge if you ask me. And I love this red iron. I really do. And then I had some leftover plates from when I put the plates on top of the pillars there. So I had 2 left over, one here and one there. And I was thinking about taking these 4x4s and running them out to the corner here. But I want them, I want everything to be clean and neat. And so I wanted to stick them underneath. And if I put one here and put one there, it should be just fine. And I know a lot of you are probably not comfortable with working with steel. I know I see a lot of these videos of folks doing a build like this with containers, and they mix up the wood and they only keep the container metal, then they build everything else wood. And it's really not that difficult, and that's kind of why I'm building this update. I want to tell you guys, working with steel is really, really easy. And I'm not an experienced welder, but after about an hour welding, you get to be pretty good. You practice a little bit and you watch a little YouTube techniques and stuff like that. And these welders that I have, you just plug in 16 gauge and it figures out the voltage and the amperage and all that and the feed rate. You never have to worry about the feed rate and amperage, because you just put 16 gauge, 10 gauge, 20 gauge, whatever you're working with, and it just sets it up for you on the amps and the feed rate. And so it makes it really simple, and they're sturdy, and you're putting metal with metal, right? So it makes it a lot easier to keep everything uniformed. And so I thought about putting diamond plate on top, but I didn't really want that, hear the noise of walking on the metal. So I wanted to keep it wood. So the only wood I have is the deck. The rest is all. Okay. And so one other thing I wanted to say was, what I did was on this, when I hooked up this stairs, I put another receiver here. I didn't really need to put a receiver, but it just made it a lot cleaner, as far as hooking all this stuff together. So I'll run a nice bead all the way across the top there, and then hook that all up. And you got a couple choices. You could build a deck on a flat. If you had a flat ground here, you could build a deck and just raise it up and weld it on. But for me, I don't have, if you look at my property, it's all, I don't have anything nice and flat. So I built it all right here. And I don't know if you noticed in the video, in the high speed, the time lapse, I used rebar, not rebar, but I used T-post to give me, I just stuck a couple T-posts in the ground. That way I have a big long 6-foot T-post where I can go up and down, and I just clamp it down and got my level correct. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think keeping it square is the key, more so than keeping it flat, because this is just a deck, right? You're just gonna drink beer on it and coffee and maybe put a hot tub on it. But this is really an overkill. I think 4-inch purlins, and I think it's cheaper, to tell you the truth. I got $200 in lumber on top, and I probably only got like maybe $150 worth of metal on the thing. So plus it was extra material I had. So anyway, that's the update. I'll show you another update when I finish, and I'll kind of tell you what I think. Again, these videos are not telling you how to do it, it's just how I did it. And I don't know if I did it right or correctly, but if it inspires one of you, great. I've done my job. Anyway, cheers. Boys and girls, what are you guys up to? Hey, this is update number 2. So how many different ways is there to build a deck? I bet you can get on Pinterest and find a million different ways. So I'm only one guy. I don't have tractor or a backhoe or anything. So I'm basically doing all of this by hand, as you can see on the replay there. So I got myself into a little trouble. I don't know if you saw that on this, the clips earlier. So there's two ways to build this. There's a roof here, right? Is you put your receiver on, right? And then you build one leg of it, okay? Then you go build the other. It's hard to do this backwards here. Do the other leg of it, and then join all that stuff together and build it up on top, right? Or you can build the frame down on the bottom, right? And then put it up. Well, I went to my next door neighbor there, and I said to him, what about the railings? What do you want to do about the railings? So we talked about the railings a little bit, and then I come back and I thought to myself, I don't want to build the railings yet because I want to build the roof on it. Yeah, and I thought that way, if I have the railings down here, it's going to get in the way of me building this framework. But then when I build this framework and then I try to put it up, you see there's about 100 to 200 pounds worth of steel up there. If you look, you got two 20-foot, 4 foot by 20 foot purlins, and then you got one receiver, and then you got a couple more purlins in the middle. So you're really at about 150 pounds, if not close to 200 pounds. So I propped it, as you saw, I propped it up. Then I thought, scratching my head going, how am I going to get this up? Because if I pull this side up, this side comes down. If I put this side down, this goes down, so it's a mess. So I don't know if you noticed, but what I did was I took a chain, tied it there, came back here, and then looped it over there. So I looped it around, and I used the chain as like a hinge. So I cocked it up there, okay, and then I use the chain to lift it like this. Once I got it there, then I just put some temporary post right here. And then once I put the temporary post, then I scratched my head and I thought to myself, do I want them posts there? And the whole idea behind this thing was to keep this all open. I wanted this, I got a view behind me here of the horses and trees and the sunrise. The sunrise comes up here and the sunset sits right over there. And so I want to be able to sit on my deck in my hot tub or barbecue or a beer or a coffee and just kind of watch the sun kind of go overhead and keep the sun off the back door. And I just thought, how am I going to do this? So I thought about this overnight, put this on there. Now, I didn't get any crazy ideas as far as, I didn't go on the internet and calculate triangulations and the Pythagorean theory or whatever that thing is. And, I just figured, why don't I just go a foot down? And then I already had these, you see the purling is 2x4, right? So I went and bought earlier in the year, I bought some 2x2s, 16 gauge wall tubing, and it just happened to work pretty good. So I just went ahead and, as you saw, ground the end of it so it welds got good, and I used the 2x4 to kind of mount, to hold that up, because I'm only one guy, right? And then I figured out the angle. I just described it, I just use those 5 and 6 inch C-clamps. They save your life. They're like 6 or 7 hands. It just works really good. In fact, when I put this stupid thing up, I clamped everything down and then tacked it. So anyway, where was I? So anyway, I just kind of scribed it, and then I just took a hand grinder. I don't know if you saw the hand grinder, and I just, cut that diagonal there. It's a little crooked. It goes like this, but your weld can, fix that up. And if you're a good enough welder, you can just kind of get in there and do that. But if you look real closely, right here, there is a little gap. One side fits really good and the other side doesn't fit so well. That's okay. I'll just squeeze it together and run a bead of weld in and you won't even notice it. It's going to be all covered up because when I'm done, I'm going to put a sheet metal across there. So, anyway, so I've got a lot of welding to do. I'm going to do one more thing before I end this, finish this up. I'll probably put one support right here. I'll put a cross member right there just to add a little support to it. You know, I don't think this is just gonna, you know, we're just holding 200 pounds, right? Maybe 300 pounds. So it doesn't have to be big, you know, it's big and strong, but you're dealing with steel. So steel is real strong to begin with, you know, plus you got it all welded up. And anyway, so what I really like about working with steel, you know, in wood, you get a lot of warping in the wood, and then you got to deal with it. But so many people just enjoy working with wood because they're familiar with it. You know, this is real simple. Welding is not so difficult. Plus, it's a lot stronger, right? I'm sure a E5 hurricane come through here, or tornado, I'm sure it'd rip that thing right off, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. But maybe everything would fall apart. Who knows? So I didn't do strength tests and calculate all the dynamics of loads, and we don't get a lot of snow here. So, oh, one more thing. What I did do, which I screwed up on my, if you remember my first part of this build, I built that pop out. I didn't put a pitch on the roof, and I'm real sad I didn't do that. This time I did. I put a 2-inch pitch, which is not very much. So there's from that corner there, it's hard to do this with the camera, here to here is 2 inches. And I know 2 inches, it's 10, so it's 8 by 10, remember? Before the other update, it's 8 by 10. So basically, I didn't think we needed, I wanted to keep it pretty square. I didn't want a big, there's no reason to have a big, you know, pitch. And I also thought about making the pitch go up, but I don't know. Then the water would run back down into there, and I didn't want that to deal with that. So I kept it at a 2-inch pitch. It's not very much, but you don't need much. You just need to go downhill. So anyway, so I got a bunch of welding to do. Yeah, I just tacked the thing now. I got to go through and reinforce all the welds, and then I'll go to the metal shop and metal supply and go get a roof on it thing, and we'll got complete. And of course, I got to put railings around there. So anyway, that's it. So we're a second day into this. It's pretty good. This is working out. It's pretty fast. So to give you an idea of a timeline, it's about 2 days, and probably all the finishing touches, maybe 3 days. Anyway, ciao. You guys are still here after 20 minutes. Oh my God, you guys are dedicated. Hey, thank you for sticking by. It's a little chilly out here. I hope you guys got your hoodie on. That's a little nippy today. It's not one of those beautiful Texas days, fall here. Anyway, so again, thank you for tuning in and sticking by this video. This is kind of a long video. I apologize for that. But for y'all that want to have some information on what you know, challenges I ran in against this thing, here's your update. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the way this build turned out. Yeah, I need to paint it, but I need to paint the whole thing. We're gonna be adding some more, so I'm not worried about the painting now. But here's the point that I want to talk to you guys about. When you put the receiver here, when you butt them up against the container, you have a little gap, okay? And the gap up here is there's a seam. There's a seam up here on the other side of this purling. There's a seam, and the seam is recessed back a little bit. And so when you put the purling up there, you get this 1/4 inch, 3/8 gap here, and it's almost two. You could weld it, but it'd take you forever and lots of welding. So what I did was I took a piece of 3/8, 3" by 1/16 piece of flat bar, and it's about 87 inches or something like that. No, it's more bigger than that. It's gonna be like 90 some. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. I'm not good with. I'm dyslexic. So anyway, so I put it up there and I went up there and welded it, and it did two things for me. One, it kept the water from running over, coming down in next to the door. Also, if you're weld like me, it still leaks anyway. So anyway, it rained today, so it didn't leak. So it's thank goodness. Anyway, so it does two things when you put that flat bar, 3" flat bar up there. It does two things. It strengthens that attachment to your ceiling rat attached to the side. Also, it keeps it from leaking. Also, what I did was you don't want the water coming off the top of the container and just coming right here, right, and spilling over. So what I did is I created a lip, what do they call it, a drip edge. And the drip edge, what I did is I took a piece of angle iron, 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch, 1/8 inch, 1/16 inch, something like that, angle iron. And then I put it up there and I welded it. So you have this angle iron like this, and then the sheet metal goes right up underneath the sheet metal, and then your flat bar is down here, right? So then hopefully the water that comes off if the water does come off the top of the container, because the container is square, right? It's got to go somewhere. And so it might come off the end and it goes onto the drip, and then the drip goes down here. So I'll show you pictures here in a second here of all that. But all in all, I really, when I went to screw, you'll see, I don't know if you see them, there's screws up here where I screwed the sheet metal on. And so I actually walked out. I crawled up on top of the container and actually walked out on this whole thing. And that thing was sturdy as could be. It was incredible. So I was kind of concerned that these crossbars here weren't going to be strong enough, or maybe not strong enough, but and 2 or 3 guys can walk around up there, no problem, no wiggling, nothing. It's solid as can be. So there you go. So the only thing I have left to do is I've got some welding. Remember, I just tacked up these side rails here, tacked them on, and I got to put some caps. You'll see there's openings here and openings here. So what I'll do is I'll go and cut some pieces there, weld them on there. And if you'll notice, I kind of kept this area pretty much open. You don't really need anything down there. That's why when you sit down in your chair, you can look out, and you ever looked out and the railing is right in your way and you can't see out. I didn't want all that there. I'll put a kick bar across there probably. Just do some, and then I'll take some grinding and do some grinding on it, some of the welds, and then call it good. Maybe I might put a little edge right here, just extend it off a little bit so the rain doesn't come up on the wood. But anyway, y'all have a great, safe year, 2023, and hopefully in about 6 months you'll get to see my new fiance come in, and she can help me with my videos, and probably the next project will be right here. We're gonna put some containers out there so we can have a kitchen, a real live kitchen, and a living room and a fireplace and all that stuff. So anyway, ciao, have a great day.